Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Jean Boda. I'm the Executive Director with the Alberta Community Crime Prevention Association, commonly known as ACPA in Alberta. Our mission is to mobilize diverse partners and ensure safety within our communities. Our membership consists of rural and urban organizations, municipalities, police agencies, Indigenous, and also other diverse cultures. In May of this year, we'll be hosting our annual crime prevention conference in Edmonton, the dates being May 5th through the 7th. The conference promises to feature a good program for all delegates. And anticipation of this exciting event, we are hosting a series of interviews with the conference presenters. Today, I will be interviewing RCMP Constable Arthur Sunday. On May the 6th, Constable Sunday will be presenting a keynote entitled The Power of First Impressions and How Good Impressions Can Impact and Shape Lives Within Rural and Indigenous Communities. We're delighted that you can join us today. And Constable Sunday, would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely, Jean. Well, thank you for having me, for starters, and for bringing me on board in the ACCPA, for inviting me to such a recognized conference. I've heard nothing but great things, not only when in my time here in Alberta, but prior to me relocating here from Ontario.
Oh, that's
Um,
wow.
yeah. So, yeah, a little bit about myself. Long story short, I was born in Nairobi, Kenya. We kind of relocated to Kampala, Uganda, and then at a very young age, I was about 5. My mother immigrated to Canada by herself with her 6 kids. So I have 2 brothers and 3 sisters.
Okay.
So I've resided in Hamilton, Ontario, pretty much my entire life. Once we migrated over to Canada, and that's prior to us moving here, where I've spent the last 3 years out here in northern Alberta and in Peace River, Alberta. I live out here with my wife Brianne and our 2 kids, Quinlan and Rome. And I've come from a extensive background, coming from the sports to sales, and until my current profession here as a RCMP constable.
Excellent, excellent. So how long have you been in Peace River then?
I've been here for 3 years.
Okay,
Yeah,
excellent.
3 years.
Well, thank you very much. And again, thank you for joining us. So we all know how important first impressions are. In your presentation, will you be talking about the actual impact that they have in all areas of our life?
Yes, yeah. So, Gene, to be honest, oftentimes we as humans, we fail to realize or even recognize just how much the smaller things in life can play a pivotal role. Human judgment is subject to biases and stereotypes, which can cloud our ability to form a fair and objective evaluations of others. So if I give you an example, someone might form a biased first impression of another person based on their age, gender, ethnicity, without even taking the time to assess the individual's capabilities or their character fully. How you how we present ourselves and carry ourselves either you know can either work for you or it can work against you. For me personally, being posted in such a rural area with various communities, including Indigenous communities, it demands that I come with my best foot forward. And it's on us to not only self-educate, but immerse ourselves to the cultural differences that we encounter on a daily basis. So what we say and do, whether we like to believe it or not, definitely plays a role and it impacts others. And I find the youth in particular to be the most receptive and acceptive of even the idea of change. Adults are a little bit more difficult to
Yeah,
conform to the idea of change, let alone accepting things or people they're not used to. So if you look at the vast majority of activists nowadays lobbying for change, they're young professionals or students. Now, again, that could be highly because of their uh, engagement with social media, but for that, I love seeing how much the younger generation is not afraid to take chances, how they have an open mind and speak out against things that they believe to be wrong. So if I think back, I think it was back in May of 2020 with the George Floyd incident.
right.
That incident specifically spread like wildfire.
Yeah,
Not because of how bad the incident was, but because the younger
yeah,
generation was witnessing it firsthand. They were
yeah,
witnessing something that was morally and ethically wrong, and they immediately took to social media to stand up against it. Those types of incidents happen on a regular basis. However, that particular incident just happened to be captured on video, live streamed, and shared, right? Which is why it had such a tremendous outcry. It had people coming in from, all walks of life coming together, and, kind of stepping up for in this instance, a person of visible minority. You know, we're still feeling and seeing the impact that incident had on society, without even touching on the policing workforce.
yeah,
But that particular first impression for the majority of the world population sparked discussions, and those discussions used to happen behind closed doors, right? But
yeah,
now that people are seeing it in real life, and they're witnessing it firsthand, those discussions have been held at dinner tables, at work, school, social outings, and amongst family and friends. So it's essential for us to recognize, the potential for misjudgment and keep an open mind when interacting with others. Although first impressions can set the tone,
yeah.
they should not be the sole basis for ongoing evaluations of people. And like in my presentation, we do cover a big chunk of those areas as well.
Excellent. Yeah. And children will really correct you. In our family, we've always had a lot of discussion around the table at dinner, mealtime. And I have both myself and my late husband would make comments about there again, judgment. And both of my sons were very quick to jump in there and say, why'd you say that? Like, where did you get that? Right.
Yeah.
So you're right. It really makes us think. And I agree with you about the younger generation with the social media. It's real,
Hmm.
like it's real time, and it's their communities. That's their community is out there in the or the virtual world. No.
Yeah.
When you discuss how profound first impressions are, will you talk about building connections and how important these connections are?
Yeah. So regardless if the connections are positive or negative, building connections are extremely important. If we take social connections, for example, we've seen with research, it's shown that, staying connected to others creates a feeling of belonging, and can significantly help, tackle loneliness and help build resilience. Social connections are important not only to our mental health, but to our physical health as well. Being connected to others helps protect against serious, illnesses or even diseases. And people with stronger social bonds are more likely to live longer, healthier lives. Now, some people might argue that, first impressions can be misleading, but, research has consistently shown that they do play a crucial role in shaping our interactions with others. And, by understanding the importance of first impressions, individuals can consciously present themselves in a more positive light, increasing their chances of success in not only social, professional, but also personal relationships as well.
That's right. And would you say also it helps the self-esteem? Um,
Absolutely,
you know,
absolutely. Uh,
when they're confronting other, uh, yeah, the resilience or whatever. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
that's great. Will you also be addressing how to enhance the first impressions that we make, and how we build on those?
Yeah, so during my presentation, I will be touching on that because that is a key element, right? I'll cover various items such as introductions. So how we introduce ourselves is one of the most memorable things that we can do. Introducing yourself with even something as simple as a friendly greeting can help break the ice and show people that you're approachable. We'll also look at things like being aware of nonverbal cues. For me personally, in my profession,
Mhm.
that helps us tremendously as police officers, first responders, paying attention to non-verbal cues or expressions or body language or, people's posture and their facial expressions can help you navigate or get out of certain situations. So we'll be looking at that as well, and of course, making direct eye contact can also make a positive difference in any given situation. We'll also look at active listening.
Mm,
So that's something that's kind of heavily overlooked. But active listening and engaging with others really shows you value their thoughts and opinions, and that individual or individuals actually matter.
mhm,
We'll look the last three that we'll look at during the presentation would be social interactions. So whether it's for a job interview or social gatherings, being well prepared and mentally focused can help us alleviate anxiety and improve our confidence. And then practicing empathy, also a
mhm,
big one. Considering the perspective of others and showing genuine interest in their well-being. But that same empathy helps us build that rapport and helps us to establish trust. And the last note that during my presentation that I really want people to kind of really understand is being your true authentic self. um, you know, I, I'm guilty of doing that myself. Sometimes, I can tell you when I moved here, immigrated to Canada, I try to, be somebody else. I try to fit in, I try to blend in, and I was losing sight of who I was. And, just being your true authentic self, while it's important to present ourselves well, authenticity plays a crucial role in creating meaningful connections, and people are more likely to respond positively when they feel that you are being more genuine. So,
I agree. I agree. Yeah,
yeah,
very well said. Very well said.
yeah.
So, in closing, would you mind sharing an example of where a first impression had a powerful impact on your life?
Um, you know, this there. If I am being honest, Gene, um, the reason why this topic really sticks with me is because I am living proof of it. Um, I touched on earlier how I immigrated to Canada with my family, my two brothers, three sisters, and our single mother. Um, a lot of people don't really know this about me and why I got into the RCMP. But it was a real struggle, not only for myself, but for my siblings. Kind of, leaving Africa and coming to this, cold country, and we came in the dead of winter. I was actually not much older than my daughter right now. I was about 5, turning 6 years old, and we were just faced with so much unknowns, right? We spoke multiple languages, but English was not one of them. So it was very, very difficult for us in school at the time. Where we resided was in Hamilton, Ontario. It wasn't as diverse, culturally diverse as it is today. We went to an all-white Catholic school where it was just myself and my siblings, and maybe I think it was one or two other students that were visible minorities. But just us trying to fit in and be immersed in this new culture was a big culture shock for us. I found myself oftentimes, crying a lot. I did blame my mom, my late mother, for bringing us here. Obviously, as a child, you don't really understand the decisions that parents make, but you grow to realize just how much of an impact they're trying to make and how much change they're trying to bring into your world and into your life and to give you a better opportunity. I didn't know that we left Kampala, Uganda because of the civil unrest back then, but obviously these are things that you pick up as an adult. But during our time here in Canada, I was a victim of bullying, not only through students, but surprisingly even with teachers. Sometimes um, people can give up on individuals fairly quickly. I wasn't the quickest student, to grasp things. My sisters really picked up things fairly quickly. We already knew French, but they picked up on their English fairly quickly. There would be days at school where, I would run into their classrooms and, cry and talk in our native tongues just to, tell them like I can't do it. But there was one moment when we were here. We were just at our Canadian citizenship swearing in ceremony, and there was at the end of the ceremony, you do the national anthem, you do all the things that are required for becoming citizens. But at the end of the ceremony, I was just caught off guard. I was really taken back because there was this very, very tall, beautiful lady that was, standing there during the ceremony alongside the judge at the time. And she was in this beautiful red serge, and I was very taken back and I was mesmerized. I was in awe, like just the persona that she had, and just the presence, the mere presence that she had standing in that room with confidence, like she could take on the world. And I remember asking her, we took a family photo after we became Canadian citizens with the judge and her. I didn't know her name, but we took this family photo, and after the photo, I remember going to her. She did speak French at the time, so I was able to speak in French and ask her like, "Hey, like this must be really great that you get to stand here and welcome new immigrants to Canada and see them become Canadian citizens. And like, how did you get into this? Do you like your job? Like, how could I do? Like, is this something that I could do?" But what caught me off guard because of the amount of bullying and frustration that I was seeing on a day to day from my peers, from my
Yeah,
teachers.
yeah,
I was waiting for that same response from this RCMP member. I was waiting for her to just dismiss me and be like, "Hey, we got another ceremony coming in." But this member got down to my level. She took a knee. She talked to me about her role and the many roles that she had held within the RCMP. And one thing that I vividly recall from that engagement was her, looking me in the eye and telling me like, "Hey, you can do whatever you want, whether it's becoming an RCMP member, becoming a doctor, whatever you put your mind to, you can actually do it. You just got to put in the effort and the time and the work, and you're destined for great things. So for me, that that particular moment in time, actually played a big pivotal role for me because, like I said, like I alluded to, I was going through the bullying and, the frustrations from the teachers. And this was the first, and again, not to sound like I'm being biased or racial or anything by any means, but she was the first actual Caucasian person who looked me in the eye and told me that I can do anything, that I can amount to whatever I want to become. Right?
Wow.
We hear that from our parents. I say that to my kids as well. But it coming from someone else who's not your family member
Yeah.
really, really, really stuck with me. We ended up getting that picture taken and framed in our house. But then I asked my mom to get a smaller version, like, the smaller
Yeah. Yeah.
pictures developed for myself, and I carried that picture with me through my entire adult life. So as I progressed from elementary to high school, I would carry that picture with me because I knew, undoubtedly I was going to face the same thing, bullying or discrimination or what have you.
Yeah.
But for me, that picture not only represented my family, who always has my back, but also
Yeah.
this individual, this
Yeah.
corporal who said to me, "Hey, you can do whatever you want to do. You can become whatever you want to become." So that, like, I use that picture as inspiration throughout my entire life. So whether I was playing sports, I got really good in sports. I picked up sports very quickly. So if I was playing basketball, I'd stuff that picture in my sock. If I was playing football, I'd stuff it in my helmet. When I got into professional sports, I would again stuff that in my helmet. And it just was a constant reminder that, there are good people out there. People do care. So I would, from that point on, it didn't matter what you said to me. It didn't matter if you told me I looked like scum or I looked like, a loser. I was like, you know what? Sure, as long as, my mom, my family, and this person thinks otherwise and that I can do anything, you know what? I can do anything. Um, that was
Yeah.
my go-to. So,
Yeah.
long story short, in 2020, May of 2020, when the George Floyd incident happened,
Yeah.
I have a big, strong friend group, and that was the first time that we were really divided. And
Oh,
where, people were, saying defund the police, do this, do that. I unknowingly had, like, pledged my allegiance to the RCMP at the time when I met, that RCMP member, and then looking back at it now, like, in hindsight, like, at, that 6-year-old, boy, Arthur Sunday,
yeah.
that encounter, was it. Like, it didn't matter if I was handed a police constable role with any other detachment or any other municipality or police force. I had unknowingly pledged my
Yeah.
allegiance to the RCMP.
Right.
I had applied during that time, so it was the George Floyd COVID time. And I said to my wife, I was like, you know what? I think I am ready to get into a profession where I want to make a change. I want to impact someone's life the way that this RCMP member impacted my life. And my friend group had kept saying, they were just chatter, 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 and a lot of I'm guilty of it too. We all chatter. We all want to see change. We all want things to happen, but nobody really wants to step up and do the work. So I said, you know what? I'm going to put in my application to join the RCMP. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I
Yeah.
put in my application, and at the time, uh, things were kind of going a little downhill for my mother. She was very ill,
Oh,
but same thing with my wife's side of the family. So 7 days.
mm,
So I got the call, and the RCMP reached out and they said, "Hey, congratulations, you're going to be going to depot." And I was over the moon. I was ecstatic. I was happy. I was like, finally, I'm going to make the change. But then you still have those naysayers saying, "Hey, you think you're going to make a difference? You can't make a difference." Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
So 7 days before I went for training, my mother's or my wife's uncle passed away.
Oh,
So, it was a big tough go for both sides of the family. But then 5 days before I went for training, her grandmother passed away.
oh
So at
my.
that point, I was like, I can't go. I got to stay here for the families. I got to be here. And she was like, no, you have to go. This is your dream. This is your calling. You have to do it. So then it was 2 days before I was leaving. We're helping get my bags packed. My flight itineraries were ready. My mother passed away.
Oh
So,
my. Oh,
it was very,
oh,
very, very difficult for me. And I leaned to that picture
yeah.
for strength and guidance, and in helping me make my decision. My family was very, very supportive. They told me, like, this is what our mother would have wanted. She would want you to
Yeah.
do this and make a difference.
Yeah.
So I went to depot, and I'm passing and going through the different stages, and near the very end, I kind of hit a roadblock, and I failed one of my tests, but I was given an opportunity to rewrite it. But during that time, you know, the self-doubt starts to kick in, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
in the back of my head, all I can picture are, that young 6-year-old, 5-year-old being told that you'll never amount to anything, you can't
Yeah.
do anything, recalling the teachers being frustrated, listening to my current friends saying, "Hey, we knew you weren't going to do it. Like, what made you think that, you'd be any different than anybody else?" And I was really, really like, I was ready to just throw in the towel and just leave that place and say, hey, at least I tried. But I had the utmost, the greatest facilitation team that kind of was part of the reason why I got through. They sat me down and they told me, like, Arthur, you belong here, right? You wouldn't be here if you didn't belong here. We believe in you. You can do this. You're gonna go rewrite that test, and you're gonna come out as a full-fledged RCMP member.
Yeah.
And as I was leaving, I grabbed my forge cap, and in my forge cap is where I kept that picture. And they looked at that picture and they said, they kind of stopped me and said, what is that picture? Like, what is the significance of that picture? And because I mean, at the time I was bawling, and I was like, oh, it's a long story. Like, oh, just give us the quick version. And I gave them the quick version. I told them, like, hey, this lady is the first person besides my mother who told me that I would amount to whatever I want to be, and I can be whatever I want to be in life. If I just, believe and dream and put in the work and the effort. So I left thinking nothing of it. I've never seen that woman before in my life ever since that day we took that picture. Unknown to me, I passed. I rewrote the test. I passed. So now I'm graduating, and at the day of my graduation, they had surprised me, and they tracked her down, and
Oh,
her name is Corporal Deborah Mike. She's retired now, but throughout my entire life, she just lived about 25 minute drive down the highway from where we lived in
oh,
Hamilton. It was kind of a full circle moment, just when, I thought I had lost all hope and everything,
yeah.
I leaned to that picture and her words of encouragement to that young 6-year-old boy. And, her, I mean, if it wasn't for her, if I'm being honest, I wouldn't be where I am today. I don't know what
Wow.
would be of, Arthur Sunday. I don't know if I'd be behind bars or if I'd be, into drugs, but, if I feel like people are brought into people's lives for certain reasons and at certain times. And I would be doing an injustice if, I didn't, see this through and get into this career,
Yeah.
and this job is very demanding, and it asks a lot of you. But for me, my what I want from this job, and not even this job, but even speaking to the people at the ACCPA, is
Mhm.
to let them know that we all are very impactful. We have a role to play. We can make a difference, even if it's with one
Yeah.
person. You never know who you're touching. So, yeah, Deborah, retired Corporal Deborah Mike, was the reason why I am the person I am today, and she will forever be the reason. I'm always learning and wanting to excel and wanting to help others, regardless of their religion, race, creed, ethnicity. I want to make a great first impression for anybody that I meet, regardless if you're a toddler or an elderly person, or I want to make sure that I can impact someone's life the way that she impacted mine.
That is, what an amazing story. Oh my gosh, you
Yeah.
just about made me cry. That is so, so nice. Do you keep in touch with her still?
Oh yeah, yeah. After
Oh,
graduation, we've been in touch ever since. My kids love her. They call her Auntie
oh,
Debbie.
oh,
Every time we go back, they look forward
oh,
to seeing her. We go have pool parties. One of her sons lives out here in Alberta, in Calgary, so I go and visit him, as frequent as I can. And
yeah,
her other son lives out in the States. But yeah, we try and have as many family outings as we possibly can, and she's taken kind of the grandmother role on my side of the family for my kids, and obviously my wife's parents are still with us, so
yeah,
they still get both sides, so
yeah.
they love it, and I'm so happy that my facilitators were able to track her down, and because I'm happy that she knew
Yeah.
and finally was told how much she really impacted my life without even knowing it.
That is amazing. That's a beautiful story.
Yeah,
Well, I appreciate you sharing that. That is amazing.
thank
And
you.
I just want to thank you also for, as we wound this up today, for joining and talking about this. And I'm looking forward to your presentation in May.
Oh,
Really looking forward to it. Yeah, you don't have any idea when you just see a bunch of words, right? But then
yeah,
when you talk to people and you really understand why they're no, I think this is amazing. Thank you very much. So thank you very much again for making the time to give your story and to answer our questions during this interview. And for any viewers that are interested in learning more about the conference, please visit our website at www.albertacrimeprevention.com. Have a good day, everyone. Be safe, stay warm, and talk soon. Thanks, August.
thank you.